Hi, everybody. Welcome to week number 4. I hope that you've been getting some value from this. I've enjoyed it so much week after week after week, getting a chance to chat with you and spend some time together. A couple of things, in case I forget, I do have a couple of books that are going to go in line with some of the conversations we've been having, and I think that you should get your parents to buy them for you. Even if you're 20 or 25, I think you ought to get your parents to buy them for you. Why use your money when you can use theirs, right? I'm going to guess that your parents will always buy you a business book or a self-help book. If you say, hey, I really want to read this, can you order it for me? My guess is the answer is always going to be yes. The first one is Digital Persuasion, and you can see it on the screen here. It's written by Aaron Gargan King, Digital Persuasion, but that's the front, has a light bulb on it. When I buy books on Amazon, I almost always buy the used one. Usually used on Amazon, they're 30% less in cost, and they're usually just flipped through or not even touched. Sometimes they'll have like dog-eared pages, but I usually just get the used ones. I buy so many books, it's cheaper to do it that way. The other one is The Membership Economy. And let's see, you can see that one without the glare like that. So check out The Membership Economy. This one's written by Robbie Kelman Baxter. You can go back and listen to the audio or the video of this if you didn't catch that. But The Membership Economy, here's how this one looks. This is one that I'm deep in right now. I've flipped through Digital Persuasion. It's good enough to say, go read it. But The Membership Economy, you're really talking a lot about, you think about how money's being made right now. Just imagine, can you get 10,000 people to pay you $2 a month? Say it again. Can you find 10,000 people across the world who will join your club or be a part of your group or be in your newsletter or be in your class, if you will, whatever it is? Can you find 10,000 people who will give you $2 a month? If you have 10,000 people that are paying you $2 a month for something, you only need to provide enough value that is worth $2 a month. But when you do the math, you're bringing in $20,000 because you got 10,000 people paying you $2 a month. You do not have to have the pressure of delivering $20,000 worth of value because the value is stagnant. The value is $2 per person. It's just spread out amongst 10,000. So the question would be, who do I have to be? What do I have to know? What do I have to teach? What do I have to say? What do I have to create that has a funnel that leads to someone giving me $2 a month? Think about all the apps that you've downloaded on your phone, and some of those apps are paid for and some of those are free. Even the free ones constantly put ads in front of you or put a funnel in front of you of, hey, you got the free game, but if you want this character, you got to pay 99 cents. You got the free game, but if you want this weapon, you got to pay $2, right? Like that's how big business thinks. And all of that is driven by the idea of a membership economy. And so one of the things that you're going to see more and more and more in our world is how do I find 10,000 people that will pay me $2 a month? And so I would just push you right now. What would you have to create? What do you know a lot about? What are you an expert in? What are you really, really good at? Maybe you're really good at ABC, whatever ABC is. How do you create a membership around it and you send it out and you say, listen, join my whatever. Now, the challenge is you need eyeballs. Even if you have value, if nobody can see it, no one's going to pay for it. So you've got to have eyeballs. This is where social media plays the biggest game for you. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is that you're involved with, whatever it is that you do, you need eyeballs looking at it. So that's where you put free stuff. So maybe on Instagram, and by the way, it's easy to go free, cost. You don't start with cost. You start with a whole bunch of free content. You start with a whole bunch of free things. Some of you could start an Instagram channel or an Instagram page or account right now that is simply about memes. And maybe you love memes, and maybe what you do is you collect a whole bunch of funny memes about whatever it is. Now, I will say that if you're going to do like an Instagram account, it needs to be something needs to be like the main focus. So maybe the meme is all about something funny. Maybe the meme is all about current events. Maybe the meme is all about homework assignments or being a teenager or young love, or maybe the meme is about music, or it doesn't matter. But the pages or the accounts that do the best have a targeted audience. And so there's one right now that the memes are all about falling. And so all of the memes, or another one is about fails, like things that someone's doing and they fail at it, right? Like they're riding their bike and they're on a jump and the bike falls off, whatever it is. But just think, how do I create followings? How do I create groups of people or tribes of people that care about what I'm saying or care about what I'm doing? And posting memes, if that's the direction that you go, you might end up having 25,000 people on your account that are checking out your memes. And the benefit to that is leverage, right? Because then you say, hey, tag me in your post with funny memes and we'll see if we can promote it or here. And all of a sudden, you're not even the person who has memes anymore. You've got leverage. You've got people all over the world saying, hey, this is funny, tag this account or whatever. And all of a sudden you get my point. So anyway, that could be one way of driving a membership economy, because then you actually turn it to something that makes money. And when you turn it to something that makes money, now you can help more people. It's really difficult to help people without money. Think about whatever city you live in, regardless of how you feel about homeless. Imagine how amazing it would be to be able to go out tomorrow and hand out 200 meals to homeless people. Imagine how amazing that would be. Imagine how cool it would be to say, you know what, there's kids in my school who don't have new shoes. There's kids in my school that are poor, that are really, really poor. I grew up incredibly poor. I was one of those kids. How cool would it be if you could buy shoes or new jackets in the wintertime for all the kids in your school? You know how amazing that is? Well, you don't with just a good thought. You do that with a good thought and money. Like the jackets aren't free, right? Even if you call it one time and you got to do a discount, you got to have some money. So money is good. I want you to write this down. Money is good for the good it can do. Let me say it again. Money is good for the good it can do. And there's lots of theories around money. There's lots of people that say things about money. Just know that if they don't have a lot of money, what they say about money might not be very important. It might not be very true, though it might be true to them. So I want you to think of it this way. Someone who's broke, by the way, broke and poor are not the same thing. Poor is a situation, broke is a mindset. Let me say it again. Poor is a situation, broke is a mindset. You might have a broke mindset, and that's why you don't have any money in your wallet. Anyway, so if somebody doesn't have any money and they have lots of thoughts about money, are those good thoughts or bad thoughts? I don't really know, and I'm not here to judge it. I will say this, who I listen to matters, because whoever I listen to is who I become like. Think about how you've got that friend in your group of friends who you know isn't really bringing a lot of value to your life. That one friend that you know kind of brings you down, or that one friend that doesn't push you forward or isn't necessarily a positive influence. Well, the more you hang out with that one negative friend, you know what it looks like, the more you become like her, or the more you become like him. This is why the old saying is, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Let me say it again, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. You show me the people that are close to you. Now, I practice what's called a 3-foot rule. The 3-foot rule, my arms are about 3 feet on either side. So if I go all around me, it's like 3 feet all around me. The people that I let get into that 3-foot circle, those are the ones who influence me the most. So my family, my very close friends, people that I play a game with, people that I'm in a sport with, people that I'm in business with, those people that are very close to me have an influence on me. Whether it's an influence that I allow or an influence that I control, it's there. So be careful with it. Be careful who's there. Now, here's the thing about friends, right? Some friends are meant for a short time and some friends are meant for all time. Not all friends are meant for all time. And I remember when I was, 13, 14 years old, I remember thinking, like, this friend is going to be my best friend forever. And I'll bet that everybody on this Zoom right now can think of somebody who used to be your best friend who isn't today. Maybe something happened. Maybe she moved. Maybe he changed. Maybe you changed, whatever it is, right? But I want you to think back to the time that on one certain day, you would have argued with me and said, nope, this person will be my best friend forever. We're besties forever, BFFs. And I couldn't have gotten you to see the world a different way. You said, nope. And here you are a year later or 4 years later or 10 years later, you go, yeah, you know what? They're no longer my best friend. So I need you to remember that because just because you see something one way today doesn't mean it's the way you will always see it. It's situational, and that's okay. So life looks like that. All right, let me go to a couple of things I wanted to make sure that we covered. Last week, one of the things we talked about were 3 steps that I said would help you to become an entrepreneur or create something. They're both the same thing. A creator and an entrepreneur look alike. The entrepreneur has found a way to monetize or make money from something they've created, whether it's a thing or a thought or a group or a club or whatever it is. An entrepreneur just found a way to make money happen because of something they've created or something they've done. So the 3 steps, just in synopsis, were identify a problem, go find an existing problem, then solve the problem, find a way to fix it, and then tell the world about it. And of course, telling the world about it, that was where the marketing came from. And identifying a problem was simply research, right? Like, what problems exist that I care about fixing? The easiest way to make a lot of money and impact a lot of people is to solve a problem that you care about. If you care about it, then somebody else cares about it. If you care about it, that's what gives you the juice to stay up late at night and keep working and keep working and keep working at it. There's all these memes about entrepreneurs that talk about late nights and early mornings. Well, a lot of that's true. And it's not because you have to, because you want to. But there's going to be days it feels like you have to. Now, here's the challenge. I need you to do things that you know create the result that you want. But I need you to be willing to do them even when you don't feel like it. You know and I know that if all we did were things that we felt like doing, we'd never get anything done. Like, we wouldn't get it done. I don't feel like cleaning my room. Think about when you didn't feel like cleaning your room and then you forced yourself to clean your room, or you forced yourself to clean your house, and all of a sudden you look and you go, wow, it looks really good and it feels good. I like that. Think about how you didn't feel like going for a run or didn't feel like doing an exercise. And before you know it, once you started doing it, you're like, oh, I'm really glad that I did this. Well, this time ends up looking like that time. Now, the challenge is I need you to live your life this way if you want to create something massive. Now, if you don't want to create something massive, who cares how you live? If you don't want to do something incredible for a whole bunch of people, who really cares? But if you want to leave an impact, if you want to be remembered for something, if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to help people around you, then you're going to have to get very used to the idea of doing things you don't necessarily feel like doing so you can have the results that you said you wanted to have. Now, there's an old saying that action speaks so loud I can't see your words, or I can't hear your words. And all that means is this: people say, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, but then you just watch their actions and you go, well, actually, you don't want to do it. You say you want to do it. It's a nice thing to say. Actions are where you actually see if they mean it or not. Like, that's where the rubber hits the road, if you will. Now, think about when you were a little tyke or a little tykus, when you were a little kid, right? Like 5, 6, 8 years old, 10 years old, whatever. And your mom or dad said, you have to clean your room. They said, you have to do your homework. They said, you have to take your dishes to the sink. They said, you have to eat your broccoli, like whatever, right? Here's the thing with that. Do you usually enjoy your have-to-dos? Most of the time, you don't enjoy your have-to-dos. As an adult, one of the things that we have to do is pay our taxes. Well, I don't know any adults who love to pay their taxes. They have to pay their taxes. Like, you have to. If you don't, you get in a lot of trouble. So here's what I mean by that. When your have-to-dos become your willing-to-dos, your willing-to-dos become your get-to-dos. And if you'll do that, then your get-to-dos become your get-to-haves. Now, let me break this down for you. Here's what I mean. Here's an example I give adults quite often. So like an adult who's maybe, let's say they're 40 years old or 50 years old, and she goes to the doctor, or he goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, listen, you know what? Your heart is in bad condition because you've been overeating, you're 20 pounds overweight, you don't exercise, you eat the wrong food. So you're going to have to go for a walk every day. Well, the first few days that 45-year-old person goes for a walk every day, or 55-year-old person goes for a walk every day, they probably go because they have to. They're like, shoot, the doctor said I have to, and if I don't, then I'm not going to live as long, right? Well, before they know it, after they go for a walk for a few days or a few weeks, and that's where it goes from have to do to willing to do. Like, all right, I'm willing to go. I'm not fighting it as much anymore. I'm willing to, fine, I'm willing to do it. Well, when your have to do's, when you do your have to do, it moves to a willing to do. There's a little bit of time there. Depending on how much opposition you have to whatever the thing is, that'll dictate how much time is there. It's kind of like habits. you're going to hear lots of theories around how long it takes to create or break a habit. And one of the generic terms is 21 days. There's books and there's speakers that will talk about, hey, it takes 21 days to create or break a habit. Well, that's truthy. I mean, for some things, you can create some habits in 3 days. You can create some habits in 3 months. And so I don't put a lot of time into how many days does it take. I do know the harder it is, the longer I have fought with something, the longer it might take to break the habit. The longer I have fought with it, the longer it might take to create or to start or break it. So your have to do becomes your willing to do. If you will do it for a while and you're willing to do, like maybe it's studying, maybe it's working out, maybe it's eating the right food. Like maybe you look down and you go, you know what, Cody? One of the things I could change right now that would have a dramatic impact on my life is the way that I eat, the food that I put in my body. Okay, cool, no problem. Me too, by the way. We're together. We're just the same. Well, it becomes a have to do, then it's a willing to do. It's like, all right, I'm willing to eat that food. I'm willing to eat all those vegetables. Well, I'll bet you if you're willing to eat those vegetables for a while, in a week or 5 weeks or a year, I don't know how long, all of a sudden the thing that you're willing to do becomes your like to do. And you go, oh, I like that. So I've got a little girl. Her name is Mara. She's 10 years old. She loves broccoli. But you know what? 3 years ago, she hated it. And I said, I just need you to eat it. She goes, I don't want to eat it. And I did all the same things that a parent would do. I bribed her with dessert. I told her she had to. I stood there and said, you will. I did all the things a parent will do. All of you that are watching right now, the day that you become a parent and you have a kid, you're probably going to do a lot of the things that your parents did. And you're going to go, I've become my mom. I've become my dad. Well, welcome to Earth. And so I'm forcing her to do it. But now she's 10, almost 11. And she'll ask me, hey, can we have broccoli tonight? Just a few years ago, she would be like, not broccoli again. You get my point? I know it's a silly example, but it's not so silly. Now, broccoli may not change your life, but understanding how broccoli works might change your life. So I want you to think, my have to do becomes my willing to do. Just give up on it. By the way, there's a handful of things that you just have to do in life. There's a handful of things that you are, whether you like it or not, the world doesn't care. Whether you like it or not, it's irrelevant. You're going to have to do it. So the quicker you give and the quicker you say, fine, I'll do it, the easier life will be. Your parents probably have some rules. So for those of you that are listening and you're maybe 14 or 16 or 18, if you live at home, my guess is your parents have some rules. And my guess is your parents might have a couple of rules that you don't agree with. Well, welcome to life. And when you're a parent, you're probably going to have some rules that your kids don't agree with. I'm telling you, write this down. What you resist will persist. In other words, the more you fight back, the more they're going to fight back. The more you push on that rule, the more they're going to push on enforcing it. You are going to live a better life and you're going to have a better chance at what you want if you'll just say, okay, and you do it. Now, here's the thing. You can say, okay, I'll do it with a bad attitude, and you can say, okay, I'll do it with a good attitude. Saying, okay, I'll do it with a bad attitude actually makes it worse. So forget your parents for a second. Let's say that you have a job. And let's say that in your job, you have to do something you don't want to do. Like you got to sweep the floor at the restaurant you work at. And you hate sweeping the floor, but you love waiting on the customers. Well, part of the job is to sweep the floor. And you could be like, well, I'm not going to do it. Or you could say, fine, okay, boss, I'll do it. But you have a terrible attitude the whole time you're doing it. You know what? That person doesn't get promoted. That person isn't loved by their peers, and that person doesn't end up owning the restaurant. You know, the person who owns a restaurant one day is the person that puts on a big old smile. I love sweeping these floors. I may not love the project of it, but I take pride in everything I do. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it better than anybody. When I was a manager at Kmart, I had 2 janitors. And I remember there was a week that neither janitor came to work. Well, guess who the janitor was that week? Me. I was cleaning the floors. I was mopping the floors. I was using that big machine to polish the floors out on the storeroom floor. I was cleaning the bathrooms. I don't want to do those things, but you know what? If I'm going to do it, I take pride in do it. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it better than anybody. Then I'm going to find a new janitor because I'm not going to do it for long. But here's my point. I want you to put a big smile on your face and just do it. If it's not worth fighting about, quit resisting it. Now, that'll help you at home with your parents, but I'm telling you how much that's going to help when you're out in the rest of the world and you're working these jobs or you're doing these things. Just submit to it. Don't fight it. Pick your battles. If it's not worth it, don't fight over it. So let me say it to you again. When your have to do becomes your willing to do, your willing to do will eventually become your get to do. Your get to do becomes your get to have. So in my world, I'll think about fitness or working out. I feel sometimes like I have to go do my workout. I have to get my run in. So I'm an Ironman triathlete. So I do triathlons. And so a triathlon is where you swim, then you ride your bike, then you run. So it's always swim, bike, run. Well, when I'm training for them, I don't always feel like training for them. I'll do a long ride this weekend training for a triathlon coming up. And I love doing the events. I'm the one who signed up for it. I'm the one who said I wanted to do it. Well, my have to do. So tomorrow I'll be like, I have to go ride my bike. Well, I live in Portland, Oregon, and it's going to rain tomorrow. It's going to rain a lot tomorrow is what the forecast says. And I'm going to look outside and go, well, I have to ride. And I go, all right, I'm willing to go. As long as I'm willing to go, sooner or later, it becomes I enjoy going. I like it. Then I get the result from it. So I just want you to remember that. So if you wrote it down, when your have to do's become your willing to do's become your get to do's become your get to haves. That's where the world works for you. Just make peace with it. All right, a couple other things. We talked about the 3 steps for entrepreneurs. One thing I did want to say this week was this. Let me make sure that I'm really, really clear on this. I want you to see problems as opportunities. I want you to look at problems and go, okay, what's the opportunity in this? Where's my opportunity to fail? Where's my opportunity to win? Where's my opportunity to help someone? If everything that happens in your world, you immediately see it and go, opportunity, rather than the victim behavior is why me? Why'd this happen to me? The victim behavior is, someone did this to me. The victim behavior is, someone did this and this and this, and it hurt me or harmed me or challenged me. I just need you to give that up. Victims don't win. Victims don't create something big. Victims don't, and here's the thing, go to your mom or your dad and just say, hey, do I show up like a victim? Am I being a victim? Have an adult conversation with them. If you want to be treated like an adult in your house, act like an adult in your house. You know what adults in your house do? They take ownership. So act like one. If you act like one, you'll be treated like one. And that's going to work for you your entire life. If you want to be the boss in your job, whatever job that is, act like the boss. I don't mean telling everybody what to do. I mean doing whatever needs to be done. Because the boss is the person who will do anything they have to. At least the good ones do. I remember when I was running that Kmart store, I would think sometimes all that it meant that I was the boss was that if nobody was there to change the light bulb, I'd change the light bulb. A boss just jumps in and does whatever needs to be done. And so if you begin doing those things long before you have the title, you'll eventually have the title. If every job and everything that you're involved with, you treat it as if you're the owner, meaning you care about it, meaning you work extra hard at it, meaning you show up early, you stay late, you'll eventually be the owner of it. That's the secret. Now think about doing that when you're 15 or 20 or 25. Most people don't learn these things until they're 40 or 50 or 60. I want you to get them right now when you're 15, right now when you're 17. You act like a 25-year-old at 15. You act like a 35-year-old at 15. I don't mean doing the things that a 35-year-old does. I mean acting the way they do in their work. And what you'll find is you'll find compound interest. Here's what I mean by that. The only reason, so I started a real estate brokerage, the first real estate company I started, I was 26 years old. By the time I was 27 years old, there was 150 real estate agents who worked at that firm. And I was one of the youngest people. Like in the entire company, I was like one of three that was under, I think there was 2 people who were younger than me. And up for like the first 100 agents that I hired, none of them were younger than me. They were all older than me. Many of them 2 times my age. They were in their 50s and I was hiring them. I need you to understand how that happens. That happens because at 15, I acted 10 years older, responsible, did what I was supposed to do, kept my word, showed up early, stayed late, asked people questions like, how do I grow? How do I be better? Do you want to blow the socks off your parents? Like, do you want to have anything you want from your parents? Here's how you do it. You would say, listen, I'd like to have a meeting with you. Can we set a time? We'll have a cup of coffee or tea or whatever's appropriate. I'd like to have a conversation. Let's sit at the kitchen table. And I've got 3 questions for you. Here's the 3 questions. I want you to write them down. Question number 1. What am I doing right that I should keep doing? This will blow the socks off your parents. It's very professional, and you ask it like you don't joke around. You say, listen, mom, dad, whoever's taking care of you, there's times in my life that I lived with my grandparents. There was a short time in my life that I lived at my friend's house. The reason I lived at my friend's house, I would have been, I don't know, 12 and a half, maybe 13. My friend Paul, my friend Brad, Paul was a different friend at a different time in my life. My friend Brad, his family had dinner together every night. His family had warm food. His family had nice things at their house. His family said nice things to each other. My family did not. And so I hung out at Brad's house all the time. And Brad's parents began to understand that here's Cody at 12 or 13 years old, didn't have good food, didn't have a good home life. So they started inviting me over saying, hey, do you want to stay for dinner? Do you want to stay for dinner? Do you want to stay the night? Well, it didn't take very long. After maybe a year and a half or 2 years of hanging out with Brad from like 11 to 13, I moved in with him. And if I remember right, I only lived at Brad's house for like 3 months. It was like, I don't know, it was like 75 days or 80 days. And then I ended up moving home. And then I moved out of my home shortly thereafter. But my point was this, though. If you want to be treated a certain way, act a certain way. You got to take the first step. You've got to reach out first. Sometimes it's kind of like when you get into a friend fight, you know what I mean? Like your friend that you just kind of get sideways with. The easiest way to fix a friend fight is to be the first one to say, I'm sorry. Is to be the first one to say, hey, you know what? I know we got upset with each other. We fought about this. And you know what? It was a stupid thing. I'm sorry. Sometimes saying you're sorry, even when it wasn't your fault, is the best decision you could make. And then just move on. Take ownership. Just have extreme ownership of it. All right, so back to my story. So living at Brad's house for a little while, but here's what I want you to do. Sit your parents down and say, listen, like very professional. Mom, dad, whoever's taking care of you, what am I doing really well that I should keep doing? And they're going to be, I mean, after they recover from being so surprised that you're having this conversation with them, they're going to say, well, you do this really well, you do this really well, you do this really well. The next question I want you to ask is this, and it needs to be in this order. What am I doing that I should stop? I say it again so you can write it down. What am I doing right now that I should quit doing? What am I doing right now that you see from your age, you're 40 or you're 30 or you're 60, from what you know, you're smarter than me, you have more wisdom than me. What am I doing right now that I should stop? What are the things I'm doing that aren't going to help me in life that you can see? Now, I need you to hear me on this. Just because they say it doesn't mean you have to do it. You get to choose. You get to choose, do I want to take their advice or not? Asking for advice and taking advice are two different things. So you don't have to worry about it. They might bring up something that you don't agree with. That's between you and you. That's your thing. But ask the question. What am I doing that from where you sit, I should quit doing? What's not going to help me? What's not going to serve me? Ask the question. The third one, and it's got to be the third question. Mom, dad, grandpa, whoever's taking care of you or raising you, what could I be doing around here that would make life easier or better for you? What can I begin doing around here that would make life easier or better for you? In other words, what do you need? You see, one of the greatest things about sales is that if you ask people what they need, they tell you how to sell them. Now, your mom or your dad or your grandfather or whoever's taking care of you is going to, again, and by the way, give them some time to recover. Based on how you've behaved to this point, they might be very shocked by having this conversation with you. They might even be uncomfortable having this conversation with you. They might even make some jokes and almost like laugh it off because they're just uncomfortable with the dialogue. That's okay. Bring it up again. You may have to do this 2 or 3 times. You may have to ask the question 2 or 3 times, but here's the deal. If you want an easier life at home, if you want more yeses than nos, then give people what they want. And they'll give you what you want. You'll have more yeses than nos. Now, you learn this at home, then you take it out into the world. Could you imagine sitting down with your teacher? Now, most of you aren't in school. Next year, when you're back in school, you sit down with your teacher and you say, listen, I know that we're 2 months into the quarter, we're 2 months into the school year. What am I doing that as a teacher, you really want to see me keep doing? They're going to tell you. Then I want you to ask the question, what am I doing that as my teacher, as my guidance, what are you seeing me do that I should stop doing? And again, you get to filter. Do you like it, not like it, want to, not want to? That's your choice. The third one, what could I do or begin doing that would make your life as a teacher easier or better? Who could I help? What could I do? I promise you, young man, young lady, if you will take my advice on this, you could almost have anything you want in life, because people will tell you what they need. And if people tell you what they need, you know what to do to help them. And if you're helping them, they will always help you. Think about somebody in your world right now that it almost feels like everybody just wants to help them. Well, it's usually because they're helping them first. You have to give to get. It's like the old adage, to have a friend, you have to be a friend. To make friends, you have to be friendly. And I know that that's uncomfortable sometimes. But you know, the most important person in your school might be the person that walks up to people and just says, "Hi, I'm Cody. How are you?" And I know that feels awkward. I already understand that. I remember being your age. I get it. I 100% get it. You know what? It's just as awkward today. At 39, it's just as awkward to walk up to somebody I don't know and say, "Hi, I'm Cody. How are you?" But you know what? The more people you know and the more people who know you, the further you can go in life. Go back to the idea of the membership economy we talked about. If you want to sell things to people, and if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want people to help you, you got to take the first step. You can't wait for them to come to you. There's an old saying that if your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. And all that means is, imagine standing on the shore and you're waiting for your ship to come in to save you from this shore. And it's out there, you can see it, but it doesn't come into the shore. One person stands there forever, says, "Well, my ship never showed up. My boat didn't come." They're stuck on the beach. The person next to him says, "Well, my boat didn't come in, but I can see it. I'm going to swim to it." You've got to take the first step. You will almost always in your life have to take the first step. I want you in the habit of taking the first step. All right, we go back to some of the notes. Knowledge is what creates money. What you know in your brain is what creates money. The action amplifies the money. So let me say it again. Knowledge creates money. Action amplifies money or brings it into you. Last week we talked about magnets, right? You get a magnet correct and it attracts a magnet. You get a magnet wrong and it pushes it away, right? Now, action plus knowledge together, that's irreplaceable. You know people who know lots of things. They just don't do anything with it. Well, they don't live a big life. You know people who do lots of things. They just don't know very much. They don't live a very big life. The biggest life that you could choose to live, the biggest life that you can dream of, is always going to happen with a lot of action and a lot of knowledge. Those two things go together. One without the other creates a mess. Got to have both. I got to know things, then I got to take action. I got to know things, then I actually have to do something with it. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I pushed you, and I didn't talk last week, so I want to bring it up again. I hope you're doing it. Follow inspirational things on Instagram. Follow the inspirational people. Follow the inspiring stories. It's okay to follow the other stuff too. It's okay for the fun stuff. It's okay for the dark stuff. It's okay for the strange stuff. You're okay. The things that you're interested in, you're okay. The things that you look at, you're fine. You're wired perfect. The way you think is just right. So the things that you're curious about, you're okay. You're perfect. I just need you to also choose some things on purpose. And so those things on purpose I want you to choose are things that bring you light, things that push you forward, things that make you positive, things that move your life forward. It's okay. Whatever music you're into, you're perfect. You're good. But I also want you to choose some music that makes you happy. Choose some music that pushes you forward. Trust me on this one. This one matters. What you put into your mind is who you become. What you surround yourself with is who you emulate. Trust me on this one. Trust yourself. You already know it. Don't trust me, in fact. Trust yourself. You already know that. In your heart, you know that to be true long before I ever said it. Now remember, choices drive habits. Your habits drive your future. I don't think that you choose your future. I think that you choose your habits, and your habits will dictate your future. Now here's the challenge with it. There's something called the decision continuum. The decision continuum, and I want you to get this. Imagine a line. On this side of the line is no. On this side of the line is yes. Now, you imagine you go and ask one of your parents, can I do blank or can I have blank? And they say no. Well, is that an absolute no? Some of you have already learned if you keep asking, the no becomes a yes, right? Every kid has learned this. You know the best negotiators on the planet? A child, 7 or 8 years old. Sometimes they just wear down their parents by asking again and again and again and again. If you're 13, 14, 16 years old, if you really want something, I want you to create a PowerPoint. Go online and make a PowerPoint. Go online and make a presentation and sit your parents down and say, listen, I've called you to this meeting and I want to show you this presentation. Here's all the benefits of letting me do A, B, C. Here's why I want to do it. Here's how it helps me. Here's how it makes my life better. Here's how it makes your life better. You see, everybody you meet is going to listen to the same radio station inside their brain. And the radio station they listen to is called WIFM. And it's an acronym. And that acronym stands for what's in it for me. I want you to write this down. Everybody listens to the radio station in their brain, what's in it for me. So no matter what you say to somebody, their mind goes, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Just like if I talk to you, what's in it for you? You have the same filter. Your filter is, Cody, I hear you, but what's in it for me? I see you, but what's in it for me? How does this help me? That doesn't make you selfish. That makes you a human being. A human being hears something and says, what's in it for me? Why would I do it? I could say, hey, go read Digital Persuasion. And you go, all right, but what's in it for me? What do I get? Oh, I get to learn something. Okay, cool. And if I learn something, I could win something. And if I win something, I could have something. The secret to have everything you want in your life is to learn the right way to get it. That's the secret. Now, the challenge is that takes a little bit of time. That takes some effort. Welcome to Earth. You know what also takes effort? Not winning. You know what also takes effort? Losing all the time. You know what also takes effort? Staying exactly the way you are. Nobody wants to stay the way they are. Everybody desires change. Everybody desires to grow. Everybody desires to be better. All right, so back to the decision continuum. You got no and you got yes. There are very few absolute no's. There are very few absolute yeses. So let me prove my point. You go to your parents and you go, hey, can I go to the party on Friday? And they go, yep, cool, you got a yes. The problem is it's Tuesday. On Thursday, they get your progress report from school, and the progress report has a C in it or a D in it. And they go, hey, remember that party I said yes to? Now it's a no, you ain't going. So you had a yes, you thought it was a yes, but then another circumstance happened and that yes becomes a no. Well, the whole world works this way. You have that person that you're interested in, that girl that you're interested in, or that boy that you're interested in, and you ask her out or you ask him out. Forget social distancing for a second. Like, I know the life we live right now, but that's going to change again. And you want to go hang out with him, or you want to go hang out with her, and you say, hey, would you like to hang out together? Or would you like to go somewhere? And they say no. And you go, okay. Well, maybe in 4 months that no becomes a yes. Maybe you say, hey, do you want to hang out? And they go, no, thank you, or I'm busy. But you find out what they're interested in. You go, hey, I know that you really like flowers, and there's a flower show going on. Would you like to go to the flower show with me? And they go, yeah, I'd like to do that. Or you know he's into cars, and you go, hey, there's a car show coming up. Would you like to go with me? And he goes, yeah, I'd like to do that. So remember, there's no absolute yes, there's no absolute no. You always live life somewhere in between. It's the decision continuum, and part of that is conditional. So you say yes, but it's conditional. You say no, but it's conditional. It's like when your friend says, hey, do you want to hang out on Saturday? You go, yeah, let's do it. And then on Friday, you find out that friend invited 2 other friends that you don't really care for. And the yes, that was just yes, well, now it's a no. It's contingent on everything else. So remember, there's no absolute no, there's no absolute yes. It's kind of like why people choose to change. By the way, changing is always a choice. Changing is almost never a reaction. It's a choice. Like, you physically choose, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. All right. So here's some of the questions that you asked last week. If you don't have any motivation to do anything, what could you do? Here's the easiest thing to do. If you don't have any motivation for something, somebody asked this, I think it's a brilliant question. If you don't have any motivation for something, what I want you to do is I want you to grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to go sit in a chair. Just sit there. Just sit there. Sometimes it's not a lack of motivation. My experience around a lack of motivation, I don't think that human beings have a lack of motivation. I think human beings have a lot of stuff going on in their brain and they can't focus. They have a lot of stuff going on and they can't simmer. They can't slow down. They can't stop and think. So I want you to grab a piece of paper and go sit in the chair. And I want you to start writing. What are all the things I could be passionate about? What are all the things I could have motivation for? And some of those things that you write, you're going to cross off and go, that ain't it. I wrote it, but that ain't it. I wrote it, but that ain't it. Well, you might write something and look at it and go, that is what I have motivation for. Here's the next thing. Choose something that your parents think you should do. Your parents are smarter than you think. Go to your parent and say, hey, I'm having a hard time being motivated right now. Number one, the second you say that, they are all in, baby. They want to help you. So when you say, you know what, Mom, I'm just having a hard time being motivated right now, they're listening. And they go, well, what do you need? You go, you know what? Is there anything that you see that I should be doing more of? Is there anything that you see that I'm really good at that I should be motivated to go do? Now, whatever they say, you don't have to go and do it. Asking the question, though, the challenge is they see things that you can't. They see things that you don't. I know it doesn't feel that way all the time, but go ask them. Ask your friends, the friends who care about you, not the friends that you want to care about you. I mean the friends who really care. The ones that you know, if you were really in trouble and you had one phone call to make or one text to send, who would it be? And it wouldn't be your fake friend. It'd be the one that you really know you could count on. The one that if the whole world was running away from you, this would be the one friend who was running to you. By the way, I can't say that without asking this question. Who are you being that friend for? Who in your world are you being the person that, you know what, they know they can count on you? If they need you, you're showing up. If they need you when they're in trouble, you're going to come running. Who are you that friend for? Because if you don't know who you're that friend for, I'll bet no one's that friend for you. Remember, you got to take the first step. Life's about taking a step and then taking another one. You can't beat somebody who won't give up. All right, how do you find opportunities and how do you rearrange your life to take them? The easiest way to find opportunities is to keep your eyes open. The easiest way to find opportunities is to look. Now, that sounds silly. That sounds like a non-answer, but here's what I mean. You have to be willing to see problems as opportunities. You have to be willing to see challenges as ways to win. And you go, oh, how could I win at this? I want you to be intrigued. I want you to be fascinated by stuff and just go, oh, I'm interested. How does this work? How does that work? Why is this a yes? Why is that a no? And I need you to talk to the people. It's really easy. Especially like when I was a young adult, when I was 14, 15, it was easy to be quiet. It was easy not to talk to people. But you know what? The challenge was I knew I didn't want to be that person. And so I forced myself to talk to everybody. I forced myself to be the person who could make small talk. I forced myself. And I want you to do the same thing. Because what you're going to find is the people that you know in your life are the people who are going to help you the most. The people that you know in your life are the people you can help the most. But if you're quiet and you never engage them, it's never going to happen. I need you to engage them. Even when it's scary, even when you don't feel like doing it, that's when it actually matters the most. So the way that you find opportunities is you go and you look and you go, okay, what am I good at and what am I good at doing? What am I good at and what am I interested in doing? And then you go and you look and you go, all right, by the way, remember, you're 14, you're 17, you're 22, you're 23, you're 12. Whatever it is, you've got lots of time. You've got all the time in the world. The problem is you think you have all the time in the world. You do, but you don't. You see, because we don't know how much time we have. We don't know if we have a week or a month or a year or 10 years or 50 years. By the way, I would rather you find your passion at 12 or 15 or 18 than still be talking about it at 45 or 50. Do you know how much you can get done from 15 to 45 if you spend those 30 years working in your passion, working in the field that you care about? You could own the world. You could do anything you want. You could literally create anything you want, but you have to find the passion first. The easiest way to find a passion is to find the things you're not passionate about and start taking them off the list and go, well, that's not it. Well, that's not it. Well, that's not it. Well, this might be it. The easiest way to find motivation is look for things that you're not motivated to do. Take them off the list. What you'll find is there might be something left that you are motivated for. That's called the process of elimination. It's kind of like the old story. You'll hear the story as you grow up. You'll hear how Benjamin Franklin, who created the telephone and created the light bulb, you'll hear the story that he tried 1,000 different ways to create the light bulb. And you'll hear the story that his mindset was, I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 999 ways a light bulb wouldn't work. So I had one way left, and that's how it worked. Now, the story is actually not even 100% true. It's truthy, like it's kind of truthful, it's kind of not truthful. It wasn't necessarily 1,000 times. It wasn't his 1,000th time, but the genesis, the story of it, the idea of it was true. He found a whole bunch of ways that a light bulb wouldn't work and it wouldn't turn on, and then one way it did. And you're just eliminating it. You're eliminating the possibilities. It's kind of like when you lose something, when you lose your phone and you can't find your phone, and so you start looking everywhere. Well, you don't know where to look, and your mom or your dad asks the dumb question every mom or dad asks, where'd you have it last? And you're like, well, if I knew where I had it last, I'd have it in my hand, right? I understand. I get it. Here's the deal. You're looking all around your room and you go, well, is it in this box? Nope, that's not it. Is it in my closet? Nope, that's not it. Is it in my jacket from yesterday? Nope, that's not it. And all you're doing is a process of elimination. You're eliminating all the places it could be, so you're stuck and you go, the only place I haven't looked is the back seat of the car. And you go and you look and there it is. Well, that's the process of elimination. And that's the way motivation works too. You might know it. You might be one of the lucky ones who wake up and say, I know my passion. I wasn't that person. I tried this, that wasn't it. I tried this, that wasn't it. I was a dive instructor. I taught people how to scuba dive. I thought, I'm going to spend my whole life being a dive instructor. Well, guess what? I got tired of diving. Didn't want to do it. But for a couple of years I did, but I got to work with people. So what I've come to find out is everything that I'm passionate about, all the different venues that I thought I was motivated for, while they changed, I thought I was going to be a state trooper. I thought I was going to be a Navy SEAL. Like, I have a handful of things in my life. I thought I was going to be a fireman. I have a handful of things in my life that I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to travel and speak in churches. I did that for 2 years. For 2 years, I traveled the country and I spoke in churches, and I spoke on Sunday mornings or Wednesday nights, and I did church meetings and church groups. And that wasn't my long-term passion. I was passionate for it for a while. And also it helped me to learn how to be a speaker. Did you know some of the greatest musicians of our time, some of the bands that you love, some of the singers that you love, they started singing in churches when they were 10 or 12 years old, 8 years old. And it was great. They had a leg up on the world because they got to work with good equipment. They got to work with good audio, good video, and they got to be 11 years old and have a group in front of them, be able to sing for an audience. That looks real different than singing in the bathroom shower. So think about that. How do I put myself in the way for something good to happen? Where do I need to be so that something good happens to me? You keep asking those questions. You keep answering those questions. The furthest you go in life is going to come from the questions that you ask. It won't come from the things that you do, though that helps. The big one's going to be the questions you ask. Remember those 3 questions for your parents? Those are giant questions. Ask them again and again and again. If you're an athlete and you've got a coach, go sit down with that coach and ask her. Say, listen, what am I doing that's great that I should never stop doing? What do you see me doing that I should quit doing? Like, what needs to stop? And then what can I do that makes your life or your job easier or better? Ask those questions over and over and over and over. Ask them so many times that it becomes second nature. Ask them so many times that it becomes habitual. The first few times you do it, it's going to feel funny. Just understand that. The first few times you do it, it's going to feel clunky and you're going to feel awkward. So what? Keep doing it. Do it to where it's no longer awkward. All right, is human capital as helpful and useful when you're a teenager? Laura wrote this. Laura, if you're still watching, it's more important when you're a teenager. The reason is you need the people around you so much. And so human capital could be spelled out like this. Do they like me? Will they listen to me? So human capital is, do they like me and will they listen to me? Now, like me doesn't mean anything other than, are they willing to have a conversation with me? Do they like who I am? Do I bring them more good than I do bad? So do they like me and will they listen to me? If you can find that people like you and they'll listen to you, that's your human capital. That's the person you call and you say, listen, how can you help me with this? Listen, how can I help you with this? So human capital when you're younger is actually more important than when you're older, because that's when you need people even more. Now, when you're 40 or 50, the problem is that human capital is just as important then, but the problem is you've gotten so used to living without it that you found a way around it. And I want you to find your way through it. So I want you to succeed through people. That's the saying. I want you to find people that you succeed through, people that you win through, people that you help and they help you right back. All right, so hopefully that answers that one. The next one was, let's see. How do you constantly keep a good mindset? I think there's a few tips for this. So how do you constantly keep a good mindset was one of the questions. Number one, you don't constantly keep a good mindset. So a good mindset could be described as like this line I make with my hand. And what's going to happen is if you were to always keep a good mindset, you would follow it like this. So here's the mindset. This is what people think. I'm just going to do this. That ain't going to happen. You're going to do this and something happens and you get way over here and you go, I got a bad mindset again. And you play around over here. Like this is maybe an hour or a minute or a day or a week, like welcome to earth. But this is the good mindset. All you do is you go back to it. And you're going to do this for a while. And you might go over here and have a bad mindset again. Listen to me. Nobody has a good mindset all the time. Nobody does. It might look like they do, but nobody does it 100% of the time. They get sideways, they get off track, something happens, they have a negative thought, something happens they didn't expect, a problem shows up, everybody gets over here. What I need you to do is not focus on keeping a good mindset. That's not going to happen. What I want you to focus on is how do I get back to a good mindset when I don't have one? That will actually move you forward. That's the trick for you. Some people are sitting around saying, how do I always eat right? Nobody always eats right. Are you kidding me? Somebody eats something they shouldn't do. That's like somebody saying, how do I always say the right thing? That ain't going to happen either. Like you're never going to always say the right thing. Though if you know the right things to say, when you're saying the wrong thing, you know what to get back to. This is called a model. And the reason that a model exists is that when you get out of the model, you know what to get back to. So one model is a great mindset. So let me fix this for you. So one way of a great mindset, it might be music you listen to. It might be a picture you look at. It might be a person you hang out with. It might be an activity that you do. It might be drawing for you, or it might be playing with something, or it might be a sport. Whatever it is that brings you back to a good mindset. When you find yourself over here and it's not a good mindset, go do this action right away. For me, a lot of times it's activity. So for me, it's push-ups, or for me, it's running or cycling or lifting weight or doing anything active. So for me, that's one of my triggers to have a good mindset, partly because I care about it and partly because of the endorphins that are released when you're doing something physical. And so for some of you, if you're in a bad mindset, go for a run. If you're in a bad mindset, go for a walk. If you're in a bad mindset, move your body, because motion equals emotion. And the faster you do it, the better it's going to be. If you have to have a really tough conversation with somebody, I'd like you to do it during a walk. Here's an easy way to have a tough conversation with mom or dad. If it's a tough dialogue, don't sit down at the table. If it's a good dialogue, sit down at the table. If it's a difficult dialogue, ask them if they'll go for a walk with you. Because what happens is motion creates emotion. There's all kinds of things I could teach you that I won't go into today that are like pattern interrupts, like when to drop a pen during a conversation, when to drop a book on accident during a conversation, when to take a drink of water to break the pattern that's happening or to interrupt the energy that you're in. There's so much to this, so much. We can cover that a different week, but get them to go for a walk with you. Motion equals emotion. So when you find that you have a bad attitude about something or a bad mindset, do something to fix it. What doesn't work? Staying where you are. When you look and you go, you know what? I got a funky mindset. I'm stinking thinking right now. I'm being negative. I'm being a victim. What will not work for you, my man, is to hang out there. Don't stay there. Get up and move. Get up and move. It might be to walk across the room. It might be just to change your mindset. Sometimes for me, it's just moving something, anything. Sometimes it's what I read or what I look at. Stop doing what you're doing first, then choose something different. All right, so that's an easy way. So I know the question, how do you constantly keep one? You're just never going to. That's like saying, how do you always make the right choice? You're never going to. So knowing what to get back to. So what is your true north on this? What thing can you do, think, or be a part of that brings you back to it? All right, so suggestions on breaking bad habits. I covered that last week. What I'd like to do is this. I'm going to ask that if you'd like to keep doing these, I'd like to keep doing them too. School's out for the whole year where I live, and so it might be for you, or you might have a few more weeks, or maybe you'll go back to school this year, or maybe you won't, or maybe you're 20. A few of you are 20 or 22 that are watching these, and that's cool too. I'd like to do another one next Friday. And so if you're in, I'm in. If you'll keep showing up, I'm going to keep showing up. So if you like these, show up next Friday. We'll do another the same time, 12 noon Pacific time next Friday, a week from today. Though what I'd like you to do between now and then, I'm going to ask you to do some homework. I'm going to ask you between now and then to have that conversation with whoever it is that is taking care of you. Mom, dad, uncle, grandfather, whoever you live with. I've lived with all of them. I lived with my grandparents. I've lived with my parents. I've lived with family, friends. I lived alone, lived with all of them. So whoever it is that is a guardian for you now, I'm going to ask you this week to have the conversation. Hey, what am I doing that I should never stop doing? What am I doing that's great? All right. What am I doing that I should stop doing? What am I doing that you see that from what you understand life to be or your wisdom, what should I stop? And you get to choose. Whatever they say, you get to choose to do it or not do it. That's up to you. You're not stuck with it. It's like a gift. When someone gives you a gift that you don't want, you're not stuck with it. You can re-gift it, give it to somebody else or whatever. You don't have to keep something that you don't want. The third question, though, is what could I be doing or start doing or whatever that would make your life better or easier? My only request is that between today and next Friday, you have that conversation with whoever those people are in your life. And you come to the call next week, and what I'm going to ask you now today, I didn't ask you to write a bunch of stuff today in the comment boxes, so we didn't have a lot of comments. But next week, I'm going to ask you to write the comment of how it went. Like you could say, hey, it went, or you could say, hey, it didn't go really well. Both of them. Though I'm going to ask you to send it. I'm going to ask you to put it in the chat boxes next week. For anybody who wants to, email me this week. My email is Cody Gibson, CODYGIBSON @KW.com. KW as in Keller Williams. That's the real estate company I work for. Cody Gibson @KW.com. Ask your parents if it's acceptable, if you're 12 or 14 or 13. Like, I get it. But email me. Maybe you could email me the story and say, hey, I sat down with my mom and dad, and here's the questions I asked, and here's the answers they gave, or here's how it went. Whatever you want to share is fine. Whatever's appropriate is fine. But I would love for you to do it. I would love for you to have that dialogue. And next week, we're going to talk about where you go from there. Now, next week on the call next Friday, I'm also going to give you 3 simple steps to take an idea from being an idea to making money. So how do I make money with it? How do I create an income with it? So for my friends who truly want to be an entrepreneur, we'll dive a little bit deeper there next week as well. Though the mindset matters the most. Just like the picture says, well, over that shoulder over there, mindset's everything. What you think up here creates everything that you do. What happens between your ears, your brain, is more important than anything else, which is why I spend so much time there. So I hope you got something from today. I hope you got value from it. For as long as you'll keep showing up, I'll keep showing up too as long as I can. So shoot me an email. We'll see you next Friday if you're going to do it. And do me a favor. If you know another young person, if you know another young adult that would get value from this, invite him or invite her. Say, hey, here's the link. I've been listening to this guy. Get somebody on here. My challenge for you would be to invite somebody to it. They can always go and listen to 1, 2, and 3. Well, I guess 1, 2, 3, and 4 today because they weren't on today. They can always go back and listen to those. But one of the things that I want you to do early in life is help other people. And by inviting them to this, if you can help them, it puts you in a good position. So invite them to it. So we'll see you next Friday. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in today. Have an amazing week. Do something awesome. See you then.